Okay, today we're diving into a fascinating biological mystery that is literally unfolding right now across the UK's landscapes. It's a story featuring a relentless invader, a totally unexpected hero, and this epic microscopic battle for survival. Let's get right into it. A fairy ring of death. Now, I know that sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel, right? But that chilling phrase actually describes a real-world ecological crime scene. While out walking in the beautiful Banbramanog in South Wales, a scientist named George Gra stumbled upon something bizarre in the undergrowth. He found a distinct, highly targeted zone of complete destruction smack in the middle of a dense patch of moss.
Section 1. The Fairy Ring of Death.
You know, usually in nature, it's the aggressive invader doing all the damage, right? But here, the invader has actually become the victim. The visual contrast is just wild. On one side, you have this thriving, vibrant green moss. But right next to it, trapped inside that fairy ring, it's completely dead. We're talking sickly brown, covered in white spots, algae, and just this really strange gunk. Something out there is actively attacking it.
Section 2. The Alien Moss Problem.
Now, before we unmask our mysterious killer, we need to understand that our so-called victim is actually the villain of the story. Sure, it looks pretty and harmless, but the Heath Star Moss is a highly aggressive, invasive plant. And its biology? That is its ultimate weapon. Literally every single tiny shoot can break off and grow into a completely new plant. It spreads like wildfire, just wreaking absolute havoc on native environments. So how long has this been going on? Well, this ecological crisis has been quietly building for decades. Arriving on British soil way back in the 1940s, the Heath Star Moss faced absolutely zero natural predators, no biological limits whatsoever. Fast forward to today, and this unchecked 80-year invasion has allowed it to ruthlessly crowd out native species across all sorts of critical habitats.
Section 3. How the killer operates. To figure out what finally stepped up to fight this unstoppable moss, scientists had to do some intense microscopic detective work over at the Mgwydfa Shamrow Museum in Cardiff. And what George discovered in that Welsh undergrowth was incredible. A brand new species, the moss dieback fungus. Guys, this is a super rare phenomenon. It's the British environment literally spontaneously fighting back, launching its own targeted defense mechanism to restore balance against an alien invader. How cool is that? When you look at this under a macro lens in the lab, the killer's method becomes crystal clear. First, these little blue fungus spores leave a dead moss stem. Then, they actively seek out and enter the cells of the healthy green moss nearby. Once they're inside, it's game over. The fungus systematically infects and destroys the moss right at the tips, slowly killing the plant from the inside out and turning it into that brown, dead gunk we talked about earlier. Now, as exciting as a natural defense system is, we do have to pump the brakes for a second. With any newly discovered natural killer, especially a highly effective fungus, we have to ask a massive, critical question. What if this fungus spreads too far? I mean, are our native trees, plants, and wildlife suddenly in danger from this aggressive new attacker? Fortunately, the lab analysis provided a massive sigh of relief. George noted that there is actually just one specific group of very closely related mosses that this particular fungus can grow on. It is incredibly specialized. So what does that mean for us? It means this new biocontrol is highly targeted, making it completely safe for surrounding trees, animals, and the broader native habitat. It literally only has an appetite for the invader. Section 4, a win for biodiversity. With the threat to other native plants definitively ruled out, this is a huge win for ecological celebration. Tracking data shows Georgia's newly discovered fungus is out there spreading effectively. It's already confirmed across Wales, South England, and North England. And while it hasn't been spotted in Scotland just yet, scientists say it's highly likely to be there too, doing the heavy lifting to restore balance on a massive national scale. So why does all of this matter to you and me? Well, by wiping out the invasive Heath Star Moss, this tiny fungus is stepping up to save some incredibly unique landscapes. These native mosslands are prime real estate, right? They provide absolute essential homes and breeding grounds for vital insects, native fungi, other native plants, and mollusks. By stopping the invader in its tracks, the fungus is preserving the totally unique beauty and biodiversity of the landscape. It really all comes down to the power of one. Number one,
This single tiny discovery is now being added to the museum's permanent collection in Cardiff. And by preserving these samples, scientists now have an incredibly tangible new tool at their disposal. They can study it, understand it, and potentially even harness it to actively help bring back the UK's native habitats. This whole story of the moss dieback fungus just goes to show that the natural world is dynamic, it's resilient, and it's fiercely protective of its own balance. We've literally just witnessed the environment spontaneously fighting back to heal itself from an 80-year invasion. Which leaves us with one final thrilling question. If a completely unknown microscopic fungus was out there waiting to save the native mosslands, what other tiny potent natural saviors are hiding right beneath our feet, just waiting to be discovered? Keep that in mind the next time you go for a walk in the woods. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.